and welcome to the next episode, because I don't remember what number it is. 5?
I think it is 5.
I think it's 5, too. To the 5th episode of the Protagonist seat.
The podcast where we scream out into the void and nothing comes back.
We talk about shows that no one probably watches, and how we like some episodes, and some episodes make us feel very uncomfortable on a profound and soulful level.
Like pretty much most of some of these shows on this list, they're not. Actually, not even most. I'd say more than half is good.
Yeah, I think this is a good draw. But you know what else is a good draw? Getting started. Cue intro.
Protagonist seat is a good window. Bop it up, bop, bop.
Looking out.
Looking out the window.
Looking
Looking out the window. Bop, 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 bop.
All right, let's not get copyright stricken by SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. That's my favorite anime.
Square Bab, Sponge Man.
Much square, much pants. Still Bob.
If SpongeBob was an anime. Squidward.
Patrick. SpongeBob.
I could see SpongeBob being voiced by the same dude who does Necroducer. I think he could do a pretty good job in that role.
You know what? Someone out there does do Japanese SpongeBob. I just don't know who it is.
That's great. That is the best thing I've ever heard. Oh yeah, I guess we should probably
talk about shows worse than SpongeBob.
We should probably talk about shows worse than SpongeBob.
Like that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Not as good as SpongeBob.
Not as good as Facts. Dead ass.
Dead ass facts, man. It is not as good as SpongeBob.
Not as lit as SpongeBob. This week, I was fine with it. I mean, I got to see Elf fan service, so it's got that going for it. I got to learn that apparently the slime's replication ability is busted as fuck, since he basically recreates Masterwork swords on this episode.
It's so weird. You don't really expect an isekai anime to have an OP character.
I know, right? It's just, I personally was very shocked. I didn't expect it. So this week they go and visit the dwarves. And they visit the dwarves.
They visit the dwarves. That is what happens in this episode.
Basically, they arrive at the gates and
they get in a fight with some local ruffians.
They're beset upon by local thugs who don't like monsters for some reason.
Yeah.
Can't understand why these people would be like, goblins, slimes, I don't want those in my city.
Yeah, they just show up and they're like, we gotta slay this goblin.
And then the slime turns into a large wolf and causes, 70 people to pass out and 29 more to shit themselves. And then he gets arrested.
And then after, when he's in jail, I guess some of the guards are attacked by some cave monster and they're like, we need healing potions.
I need healing.
Yeah, I need healing.
Yeah, they need healing. And since the main character can
just literally shit out potions.
Because he ate, I suppose, an infinite amount of healing herbs to just make potion forever.
And then he shits it into a bucket, and the guy's like, you know what? And he's like, hey, you guys can have this healing potion right here. And one of the guards is like, hey, maybe we shouldn't trust this slime, because it's a slime. And one of the dwarves is just, you know what? We have no other choice. He just takes the barrel and he just runs with it.
Yeah, and he tells the slime, hey, stay in your cell. I'll be right back.
And he stays in his cell.
He does. He is a very good boy about it. Which, I mean, I gotta give him credit, because he is a slime, and he could just go through the bars. Oh, yeah, and Gobta sleeps this whole episode.
Yeah, Gobta sucks.
I'm pretty sure they don't go back to let him out of prison.
You know what? I don't think they do, and I don't care about Gobta.
I'm pretty sure he was a method of getting there, and then they just left him in prison.
Fine by me. I don't need to know what happens with him.
He is clearly the shittiest goblin.
But then the dwarves apparently are dwarves apparently are really behind on schedule because they got to produce a bunch of arms for the war.
Yeah, there's gonna be there's gonna be a real big war, so they put the captain of the guard who was given the potion to help the other miners is like, hey, you want weapons and cool shit? I'll take you to a real good weaponsmith. And then he takes him to his cousin.
No, it's his brother, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's his brother.
They're all brothers.
And, yeah, turns out the dudes who got injured were also brothers.
A lot of brothers, because, dwarves.
3 brothers riding in a van. They are like, we've got this big order. We can't complete it. Well, first they oppose the fact that they need 20. They have an order for 20 long swords.
They basically set up their problem. They explain it, how they don't have the material for it. It's going to take too much time. And then Rimu, I think it's pronounced Rimu. Rimuru. Then Rimuru decides to finally use his slime powers and go, oh, I can fix your problems instantly.
Yeah.
And he does.
He just does.
He just eats the sword, analyzes it, and then just shits out 20 of them.
Yeah, turns out if you die, make sure the last thing you think before you die is, man, I really need some of that great sage special ability because it is busted as fuck. Because not only does the slime absorb and refine this weird ore to make it like super steel, he also analyzes the equivalent of a masterwork sword and just shits out of 20 of them. Like, shit, man.
And that's why I was surprised. I thought, oh, maybe the dwarf craftsmen, dwarves are very focused on their craft. They take a lot of pride in it.
He'll get butthurt about it because you can't just replicate true craftsmanship like that.
Nope, he was fine with it. He's like, yeah, I can meet my quota.
Yeah, I don't have to work anymore. Awesome. Fuck that quota. And then they go out drinking, and there are voluptuous elf women.
And they all pick him up and they squeeze him.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I would think they'd go, oh, slime, that's real gross. And he'd be like, no, the one thing I wanted to do, I wanted the opie, but the sexy elf ladies, they don't like me because I'm a slime.
Nope, he gets what he wants still.
Turns out they fucking love him because instead of being a disgusting slime, he's just kind of like soft and squishy and they like him.
Yep, they just pick him up and squish him.
Yep. And then a mysterious stranger shows up outside and he's like, says something ominous that sets up things. And then it's over. The end. GG. No re.
And that's all that happens.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Nothing much. A little more world building. A little more.
You know what? It's world building, and I don't even like the world.
No.
It's real basic. It's like, hey, fantasy trope, the world.
It is probably the simplest fantasy setting ever. Just like, hey, the dwarves live here. What do the dwarves do? They make shit.
Like, because the next show on the list, Goblin Slayer, that's a basic-ass fantasy setting, too. Yeah. But it's just at least kind of gritty enough where it's a little more interesting.
And it doesn't spend time going into that world.
Yeah, it almost expects you to know it's like a fantasy trope, so it's like, no, that's why no one even has real names. It's just priestess, elf archer.
They don't go into the
lizard man.
They don't go into the military strength of the particular city that the guild is in. It's just like, nah. Actually, you don't even learn about the rest of the city, at least not so far.
Because it doesn't matter to the story.
Yeah, that's some good-ass storytelling right there. You learn things pertinent to Goblin Slayer, and you know what? That's how Goblin Slayer should be, because that's how Goblin Slayer views the world. Yeah. He only looks at the things that are related to him and what he wants.
I guess I'm just going to consider this a transition to Goblin Slayer, because I don't know, slime's just, it's whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
It's just wish fulfillment as,
a
slime that can do anything. I'm waiting to see when he actually transforms into a person. Because they showed, like, the theme song him doing like sword fighting and stuff. So that might be neat.
Yeah, I want that, and I want those cool side characters with the horns.
Yeah, the Oni people, it looks like.
I want more of that. I want people to fight each other, and I want actual conflict instead of just, hey, I have a problem. Main character, solve my problem in 3 minutes.
Instantly. In fact, I think that was the thing that I disliked most about this. You knew he was going to solve it.
Yeah.
In fact, I was almost kind of like, okay, let's just get through them explaining what the problem is.
Yeah.
If anything, it's resource related. It's like, okay, he's just going to, I don't know, poop something out that instantly fixes it.
And he does. But Goblin Slayer does not poop anything out. In fact, Goblin Slayer makes goblins poop things out because he's spooky.
And this episode, we get to see him fight something that's not a goblin.
Yeah, and it fucks him up.
Yeah, he has a rough time.
Because you know what? Turns out when you spend your whole life killing goblins, as soon as you're confronted with something that is not a goblin, you're not so good against it.
Yeah.
He fights, what is it? Is it an ogre?
It's an ogre, but it's kind of, it's an Oni, but it's an ogre.
Yeah, it's a large demon general army Oni thing.
It's an ogre, yeah.
And it fucks everyone up. And then he kills it with something you were telling me last week. I don't remember if we talked about it on the actual episode, but something that I thought was cool as fuck and was glad that they included with the show.
I spoiled it like a scumbag for Ian, but it's okay because he asked for it.
Yeah, and it
was a consensual spoiler.
It's still cool as shit. Like, even knowing what the scene was, I watched it and I was like, that's dope as hell. Basically, Goblin Slayer has a scroll that opens a portal to the bottom of the ocean and uses it to cut the Oni in half.
Basically, with the pressure at the bottom of the ocean, it's just like a blade of like water.
Just shoots straight through him and fucks him up. It's great.
And what I liked best when he was killing the ogre.
Yes.
The ogre's like, why would you use this on mere goblins?
Yeah, he is not angry that he was bested by this plebeian Goblin Slayer. He is mad that Goblin Slayer was like, I was originally planning on using this to destroy a goblin's nest, so I'm a little upset that I had to use it here. And he's like, what the fuck, dude? You were going to use that on goblins? And you know what? He was going to use that on goblins.
That's like obtaining like a flamethrower, and you only use it just to get rid of like basic chipmunks in your yard.
I got an ant problem.
I bought myself a tactical nuke. I'm going to use it to get rid of that hedgehog that's in my neighborhood.
That's some Caddyshack shit right there. We also learn everyone else's ability. Well, we learn slightly more of their abilities.
Yeah, how the shaman can make sort of a dragon tooth warrior, which is like a skeleton thing.
Yeah, and it looks almost exactly like the dragon tooth warriors from the Fate series, which is kind of amusing.
Well, except this is like a lizard. Those ones I think are more
dragon
people things.
It's close enough.
It's just the head that's different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they have a different color palette.
Yeah. And we get to see that the dwarf dude is, I think he's a mage.
Yeah.
He's a mage and he uses like
at first
booze.
I thought he was a monk because he kind of looks like a monk.
Yeah, he looks like a monk, but he uses spells.
Yeah, he casts spells. So I kind of wonder if he's some sort of cleric, and maybe if he's like a cleric of the god of alcohol or something like that.
I think he is a mage.
Probably.
That's his thing. He's a mage.
Yeah.
But it's flavored weird.
Yeah, he's
because he uses an actual spell in the fight where he makes those sort of rocks appear and just shoot at the ogre.
I forgot about that. Even though I watched this episode today, he uses rock smash.
He's not a mage. He's a Pokemon. He uses rock smash.
He's a Pokemon. Rock smash. He's Dwarfo, the short alcoholic Pokemon. Yeah, it's kind of like everyone but him follows a fairly clear-cut guide from D&D classes.
Especially Elf.
Especially Elf, who is just Ranger.
Yep. She's not even called Ranger. It's High Elf Archer.
Yeah. But she's a Ranger.
Yeah, she's a Ranger.
She rolls to look for traps.
She looks for traps. And I like the part where they find the elf woman who is another victim of getting goblined.
Yeah, she got the goblins goblined her.
And they think Goblin Slayer is going to go and kill her.
Yes.
Because she's like, kill.
Yes.
And he's like, okay. And he walks forward, and Priestess starts freaking out, having PTSD flashbacks of the first party.
She remembers the mage,
but then she shouts, kill that thing! And then a goblin jumps out, and he just kills the goblin.
Yeah, he kills the goblin super easy, because it's a goblin.
And then he looks at Priestess and the others, and he's like, why are you all freaking out?
Yeah, it's great. I love how Goblin Slayer is just like, oh, you guys didn't get that? Just about everything. He is such a nonchalant hero. I love him. It's great.
I like Elf Archer too, where she basically views adventures as they're these things that are supposed to be fun.
She is the archetypical, I'm going to go out on this fun adventure and slay monsters and be a hero. And then she meets Goblin Slayer, and she's in this dark place killing goblins in their sleep.
I love the look on her face while she's just stabbing goblins.
Yeah.
And she has this 1,000-yard stare in her eye as she's covered in blood.
It's great. You can definitely tell this has been a formative experience. And she even says on their way back, because they send the elven woman back to their home via the
Dragon Tooth Warrior.
Tried and true method of being carried by a giant lizard skeleton. They are riding back to town in a carriage, and she's like, I've always viewed adventures as being fun. You know, it's supposed to be something that's fun. This wasn't fun.
This wasn't fun. This was the opposite of fun.
This was the opposite of what I wanted. And you know what?
And then she vows to make sure Goblin Slayer has a fun adventure.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested to see how that pans out.
Considering slaying goblins so far from what we've seen
has
not been fun. It's been this dirty, just dark.
Yeah. Any adventure you start by disemboweling a goblin and covering yourself in its entrails, that's not a fun start.
I loved when she looked at Priestess to sort of get back up on, hey, this is ridiculous. And Priestess just stared at her and went, you get used to it.
Yeah. It washes out, kinda. Mostly. Yeah, mostly. So good.
Then you gotta think, like, Priestess probably smells like goblin blood just all the time.
Yeah. Just this, But it's more good quality, wholesome family entertainment. You got people slicing goblins in half. You got people putting them to sleep and then stabbing them like a cajillion times. You got post-traumatic stress.
That was nice. That part, I didn't expect it to be as brutal as it was, where they're just like, just stabbing at him.
Because it is mechanical for Goblin Slayer. He's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, just going down the line.
Yeah, it's a really brutal scene, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I like how everything is just sort of economical, the way Goblin Slayer does it. Just kind of going at it as he goes at it.
Who is best girl of this show so far?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, personally, I dig Priestess because, you know, as a player who plays supports, I feel her, you know?
She gets stuck with the shit job.
Yeah, she uses 2 protection spells to protect against a single fireball. And you know what? I feel for her. I'm like, you know, she's using her spell slots to protect her team. And I understand what that's like.
She is being the support, doing what the support does.
Who is your best girl so far?
You know, I like Elf. I like High Elf Archer.
I like how she's different.
Yeah, she's got that. I like how she's adventurous. She wants to go out and do these things. And then I like how the reality slap happens.
Yeah.
And she just has to go and just stab goblins.
Yep. With the legendary hero Orc Bulge.
Orc Bulge.
Orc Bulge.
Orc Bulge.
He's got to stab some Orc Bulge.
He is Orc Bulge.
He is just an Orc's Bulge.
I do like Priestess though too.
Yeah, I think I
always feel I always feel bad anytime they're in a terrible situation. I'm like, just give this girl a break.
Yeah, she needs a
vacation.
Yeah, get her a vacation. Get her some nice cruise tickets. Get her on a plane to Florida.
Sign her up for a beach or hot springs episode.
Sign me up for a hot springs interlude, 'cause boy oh boy, the wacky antics. He'd be like, hey, there ain't no goblins in this hot spring.
And they'd be like, hey, it's good to relax, 'cause then you'll be able to kill more goblins. And he would say, is that so?
Is that so? Huh. I see.
Those those classic responses.
All Goblin Slayer and his classic repertoire of passive responses.
Just, yes, I know, of course, yes, of course, I see.
It's strange that this faceless character is just so passive and almost cardboard cutout-esque at some points.
I think he's less of a character, he's more of just a sort of...
He is a burning passion for one thing.
I think the story is best when it focuses on everybody around him, which is why I like how he has a whole party.
Yeah, because... I mean, the best thing to do when you have someone so outlandish and out there is to give them people to react to what he does and says. Yeah. Because it's just, you've got the whole, basically instead of one character mugging on crazy things going on in the world, you've got the world mugging on things this one crazy character does. But overall, I'd say a solid showing from Goblin Slayer.
Yeah, it was a good boss fight.
Yeah, that's what it was, a boss fight.
And you know what didn't have a boss fight, but you know it was pretty good this week? Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah.
Actually, now it's Rascal Does Not Dream of Groundhog Day Kohai.
Yeah. Of kick my ass Kohai.
Kick my ass Kohai.
Yeah, I
want you to hit me as hard as you can. Senpai, you need to kick me as hard as you can.
Senpai, kick me in the ass as hard as you can.
I want you to kick my ass.
I need you to kick my ass.
Basically, the girl who he had to kick in the butt in the previous episode, she ends up actually, to go back to the beginning, he wakes up one day and has a really good day.
Yeah, his day is great.
My son, his senpai, decides to finally date him.
Yep, he guilts her into dating him by essentially saying, fine, if you don't think you love me and you don't want to date me, I'll just have to go meet other girls then. Which works for some reason. I don't think I've ever had that work ever. Because I don't do that because it's scummy and weird.
Yeah. He ends up having a great day, and then he wakes up the next day, and it's the same day.
It's the same day. Cue, put your little hand in mine. Smash the alarm clock.
And he realizes he's stuck in a time loop. And you know what? He's not that freaked out about it.
No, which, to be honest, his girlfriend was literally invisible to the rest of the world. Yeah. So it's a little understandable, I guess.
And he talks to the science girl who just for some reason has all the answers because she's in a lab coat with glasses.
Yeah, her school uniform consists of a lab coat, which boggles me at some points because there was a short time where I was like, oh, she's the science teacher. And then I realized, no, she's just a student who makes she makes coffee in the science room with beakers and a Bunsen burner. Which I hope those beakers are cleaned real well. Because, boy, oh boy.
Well, it seems like she's the only one that ever uses the room, so.
And I've only seen her use it to make coffee.
And just shoot the shit with this one guy.
Who always has weird scientific questions.
And she's just like, Schrodinger's cat, this time it's like the...
Laplace's demon or something like that.
Lapras demon, I think, maybe.
I don't know. Something weird that this is one that I don't think I've heard of before.
I've heard of it. I just never heard it pronounced.
Yeah. And I still haven't because it's in Japanese.
Lapras demon.
Demo.
Basically, instead of Schrodinger's cat, where the idea behind it is something is not there unless there is someone there to perceive it, or whatever. I'm bastardizing it.
It's close enough.
The thing with this is how it's she's an irregularity or something.
She perceives the future so far in advance that it's... I don't know.
You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. Every time the Science Girl conversations pop up, and I'm just...
It's bullshit.
It's real bullshit.
It's bullshit to explain something that's dumb.
Yeah, it's bullshit to explain something that is already bullshit.
Yeah. So they talk about dumb bullshit that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
And then he basically figures out he just has to find the... I'm just going to say Lapras demon.
He's got to find the weird person.
He's got to find the only person who is also, like, aware of the time loop.
The one person at school who acts differently.
And he finds her right away.
Yeah, it takes, like, one rotation.
Yeah.
Because it takes one rotation to figure out that something's going on. One rotation to
Granted,
speak to his
he fixes
friend.
this pretty fast.
Yeah.
I gotta give him credit. Where most people get stuck in a time loop for a good amount of time, he fixes it in 3 days.
Yeah, he does a real good job. Even though there's more like, oh, well, that might not actually count because the dude bullshit is bullshit man. Will still ask her out on dates. Which is the dumbest thing to cause like a space-time irregularity over.
You know, it's funny. We keep saying bullshit like we make it sound like we didn't like this episode. Yet I feel like it was the strongest one.
Yeah, I actually like this episode. It's just all of the science in it is bullshit.
Yeah, everything's stupid, but it's fine.
I can like stupid, but it fits with the plot. So it's
basically, instead of everything going perfect, he ends up seeing this girl who's younger than him at school, the girl who said, kick my ass in the previous episode.
Kohai.
Yeah, and she's trying to hide from some guy that's trying to ask her out, and she's like, oh, quick, we have to hide, and he hides with her, and obviously they both fall out of the place they were hiding from, and hijinks ensue, where that guy sees the two of them together, so he just decides to give up on trying to ask the girl out, but Mai also sees them, and...
Yeah, because instead of, like, moving, they just kind of lay on the floor for, like, a solid 3 minutes.
You know, just to get that sort of position that looks like they were doing something.
To get it perfectly correct.
Yeah. And then she walks in and sees, and he tries to explain, but she says, don't ever talk to me again. And he's, instead of really working on fixing it, he just goes to work. Turns out now that his Kohai is also working with him. Yeah. And she, to get that guy not to ask her out again, mentions to him, hey, can you pretend date me? Yeah. And normally you'd think, oh, no, he's not going to do this. He likes Mai, his senpai.
Yeah, because that's fucked up.
And he wants to be with her, so he's not going to carry on this lie.
And no, he does. He's just super okay with it.
He's like, I guess I have no choice.
He has like a weird flashback to his sister being bullied, and he's just like, oh yeah, all right.
Because I guess the guy's super popular, and she doesn't want to, if she rejects him, she thinks she's going to end up like alone, and no one in the class is going to talk to her.
And I think it was this one, and I'm not thinking about another show, but she doesn't want to date Popular Man because her friend likes Popular Man.
Also likes him too.
So that's why
one of the reasons as well, though, because if
Yeah.
she says no, everyone's going to know she rejected the best school athlete or something, and for some reason not talk to her, which is a really weird thing.
I mean, it's high school, you know?
Yeah.
High schoolers are dumb and worry about dumb shit.
Also, you'd think the other guys wouldn't care, because you'd think they'd be more like, hey, that means I have a chance if she said no to this guy.
Yeah. Now's my chance to move in.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever, he decides to roll with it.
Yeah, because I think I can summarize our main character, Rascal, with one phrase: fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
That's just kind of how he lives his life.
And then at the end of the episode, Mai comes back to his house.
Yeah.
And she basically... It ends right there, so we don't know what happens, but I'm assuming he's going to explain it to her, and because this show's giving me sort of a Monogatari vibe from, like, the Bake Monogatari series. I don't know if you ever seen anything with that, but...
No.
It's a similar concept of a guy helping girls with weird supernatural things based around them. And the first girl he ends up helping, he actually dates.
Cool.
But throughout the show, he still helps a bunch of other girls while he's still dating the first girl. But she's just, like, okay with it because, you know, they need help. So hopefully she's going to be cool with him helping all these other girls with weird adolescent syndrome supernatural stuff.
I did find it kind of amusing that she just kind of shows up at his apartment at the end and is like, hey, what the fuck? You didn't come try to explain shit. You mean that thing that you were just like, I'll worry about that later. There's consequences for that?
Turns out he put that off for a good while. He didn't bother going to talk to her. He just went to work.
Oh, well, that's fucked up. Better go to work.
Yeah, better go to work, better go home, hang out, take a shower.
Oh, yeah, I gotta take a bath.
Yeah, I forgot. They're Japanese. He's not taking a shower. He's taking a bath.
He takes a nice bath, and then she shows up and is like, what the fuck, dude? And then it ends. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that sort of resolves.
Yep, so Bunny Girl Senpai, it's not in a risky place anymore.
Yeah, we gave it its warning, and it shaped up.
Another show on this list is getting a warning, but it's a little further down.
Yeah.
It's a little further down.
A little further down.
But it is not this next one, because this one is a treat every week.
I love this show.
This is my Halloween treat.
We've got Zombie Land Saga. Probably, I'm going to say besides like Goblin Slayer and JoJo, shows that I knew I was going to like, this is probably my favorite show of the season.
Yep. It's the only one on this channel so far that has its own video that is not the podcast.
Yeah.
I think that speaks for it. It speaks volumes for it. And it is still enjoyable, even after this episode.
We were talking about having a potential Hot Springs episode with Goblin Slayer.
Beat him to it.
Yep, this episode was the Hot Springs episode. And oh boy, did hijinks ensue.
So, the plot of this one is Necroducer is going to have them perform at a Hot Springs event for some company.
Because they're broke and they need money.
And they're all excited because they're like, ooh, we get to go to the Hot Springs. But he's like, no, because you're all zombies and your makeup's going to come off, so no. And he brings them all there and expects them to go practice, and they're like, what are you going to go do? Sightseeing.
I'm going to go see the sights.
Yeah, gonna go see those sights.
And then he just drives the fuck off.
I like how there's a scene after where he's trying to talk with some, I think they're heads of some company.
Yes.
And he's talking about just business stuff, how he wants to revive Saga with them. And he's talking about how his idols are probably practicing their hearts out right now. And he looks and sees them walking around outside because they all decide, fuck it, let's go sightseeing too.
Yeah, we're zombies. We can practice whenever we want. Let's go see the sights as well. So they do that. And it's great. It's good.
And then when they put on their show, it actually is fine. Nothing bad happens this time.
Yeah. Turns out the pharmaceutical company is they sell the basically like Ben Gay patches, pretty much.
Yeah, like muscle relaxing pads.
And
they just slap them on everybody during the show.
And I love how there are so many disclaimers during the show that's like, hey, listen, putting these on another person counts as practicing medicine. Please don't do that. Please don't. For legal purposes, we're begging you, don't practice medicine on other people. But the show goes fine. It's what comes after the show that does not.
At the end of the night, they all go to bed, besides Sakura and Saki and Junko, because Saki convinces the two of them, hey, let's sneak into the baths. It's night, it won't matter.
Let's go to the hot springs.
So they sneak out to the hot springs, and they're hanging out, having fun. And then all of a sudden, the woman who's the head of the pharmaceutical company goes to take a bath.
Yes.
And they decide, oh, quick, we gotta go hide. And then they think up a plan. Saki goes, well, we're zombies, so we can hold our breath, and we can sneak out of here. And they're all like, good idea. And while she's about to drop down under the water, Sakura accidentally bangs her chin on the rock, and her head pops off, and it ends up just floating in the water. And the woman from the pharmaceutical company, she ends up lifting up one of the Ben Gay patches, and right under there is Sakura's severed head, and they draw it in such like gruesome detail of just this decapitated face.
I love how the art style changes for this scene, because like they start drawing them as super scary horror anime zombies, and it's great.
And then this woman gets so scared, she starts screaming and running down the hall, but then that wakes up all the other girls, and she basically goes through this nightmare where she keeps running down different hallways and corners, and every time she does, there's just a different girl there, and they're all drawn in such creepy ways.
Yeah. And this ends up scarring this poor woman so badly, she forgets that she is shell-shocked beyond belief.
That she can't remember anything, which includes their performance, meaning they don't get paid.
Yeah.
And Necroducer is kind of pissed.
He is very unhappy with this.
He even says to them, he's like, next time, I'm shaving your heads.
Yeah. We get to see Necroducer actually pissed off about something, like for realsies.
I like how early in the episode Saki gut punched him.
Yeah. I
think Saki is my favorite girl.
I do love Saki. I was a little nervous about her accepting the mantle of group leader, but I'm real happy with that decision now.
Yeah.
I also like Courtesan Woman, because she has a good line in this episode where early on she's like, well, I decided from a very long time ago that I was going to dedicate myself to entertaining people. And I was like, oh, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
That's very different. But it's a very good episode this week, as usual. High quality, high marks. They're the kid with the glasses in the class that always gets the real good grades.
It was a good episode, and yeah, it was a good. It was basically building up to that sequence at the end where just the woman was running, and all of their faces were just terrifying.
And it's so good. We're missing two. I'm gonna do a little brief breakdown of our running gags. So far, we got cop, we got metal fans. I'm gonna add bad idol CG to that list as one of the running gags.
Yeah, we'll consider this a running gag for now.
Because I refuse to believe that is an earnest attempt at CG, because it's too bad.
Yeah.
But we missed 2 out of 3 of our gags. We didn't get to see our cop buddy or the fans.
When we get to it, though, I gotta say, Double Decker's CG is actually not bad.
Double Decker's got good CG.
But yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
It's like 2 shows away.
Yeah. But that's all I believe we have to say on Zombieland Saga.
And quick one this week, since I don't really have much to say about it. Miss Vampire who lives in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with this one.
Ellie, I think her name is.
Yep.
Yeah, and she is Sophie's friend who is also a vampire. And basically the whole episode is just kind of her visiting.
Yeah.
It consumes both the A and the B plot.
Yeah, she shows up. She's like, she's kind of a creepy weirdo for parts of it, and then she's acknowledging how creepy and weird our main character is for parts of it, and then that's just kind of it.
Yeah.
She bathes in blood.
I mean, the only real bit or joke that happens in it that's just that they really haven't touched upon with anything before, because Sophie's already a vampire.
Yeah.
It's just oh, you've been asleep for 100 years. Here's all the new appliances and how they work.
That's right. Ellie oversleeps, and turns out she oversleeps for 100 years, and that's why she didn't go visit her friend.
And it was.
It introduced a new character that I don't really like.
Yeah, I feel like she fulfills the same role as Akari's friend.
She doesn't do anything that we haven't seen another character do in any way at all.
Yeah.
She's another best friend.
She's also someone that wants Sophie for, purposes, which Akari already covers.
Yep. And she is also a vampire, which is Sophie. So, yeah. But she moves in the neighborhood at the end.
Which means we'll see more of her, and hopefully it's better.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope there's
stick her with the other friend character, so now you have 2 pairs of human vampires.
Yeah. Yeah, I would enjoy that.
That would be the best way to do it.
Pair them off. So let's move on.
Yeah, that's it for this week.
That's to something that was very good this week.
Yeah.
JoJo Part 5.
We had the Black Sabbath fight.
The Black Sabbath fight is so good. I mean, if you're going to have an episode pretty much entirely based around a stand battle, you can't really go wrong, because they're just about always very interesting and cool.
I really liked how Black Sabbath looked.
Yeah, his design is great. And I love my favorite part of every stand battle is figuring out how the opponent's stand works. Because at first you've just got okay, there's this spooky stand, it uses the arrow to stab people.
Yeah.
All right, what else?
And the arrow's not its stand power. That's just an item it has.
It is just a weapon it happens to use. Because at first it kind of seems that way.
Yeah.
But then as it goes on and you start to learn more, you discover.
Because you're like, oh, that's the arrow from Part 4.
Suspicious.
And then it's cool because Giorno and Koichi team up to fight.
Yes. And they fight. Basically, Black Sabbath's powers, he moves through shadows, and he's very fast.
And he's weak to sunlight, so they have to figure out a way to isolate him, drag him into the sunlight, and then destroy the thing causing the shadow.
Yes. At one point, Giorno... Black Sabbath is hiding in the shadow of a railing, and Giorno turns the railing into vines and makes them essentially move out of the way, which exposes him to sunlight and saves Koichi, because Koichi also witnessed the lighter being relit. So he is on the hit list as well.
And then Giorno gets grabbed again. Well, because they think they're getting away, but Black Sabbath is able to use the shadow of a crow that's flying by to transfer to its shadow and then catch up to them.
He uses the shadows of birds to move around. That's dope as hell.
And he catches Giorno again, but Koichi uses his stand to reverb Mark III.
Yes.
To sort of just catch Black Sabbath in sort of a gravity.
He makes Black Sabbath's hands very heavy,
so he can't move. But he also risks breaking Giorno's legs, since he's currently holding on to Giorno's legs.
Yes. And then they just kind of okay. So when Black Sabbath's hands crush the ground, Giorno essentially reaches the tree's roots through the cracks in the ground with his stand.
And he transfers the damage to the tree.
Yeah, killing the tree, which breaks the shadow and essentially defeats Black Sabbath, which is cool as shit.
And he is able to... Koichi basically tells him that long-range stands, the user doesn't really know what's going on.
Yes.
So Polpo, the stand user of Black Sabbath, technically didn't really know what ever happened or went down. So
yeah.
Giorno just brings him back the lighter normally. And he's like, all right, I guess you're in the gang then.
Congratulations. You have completed your task. The end.
And then Giorno takes his new badge, or little pin that shows that he's in passion.
Yeah.
Or passion.
Passion.
He's in passion, and
the Gangnam Star of passion.
And he tells him that he's going to be working under Bruno for a bit.
And I liked this scene I liked the scene that's sort of intertwined with this because I had no idea what Giorno was doing. He goes to reach for the pin, and he just kind of... You see him doing something with his stand. And it's like, what's he... He's focused on the fridge. What's he doing with the fridge and his stand? Basically, he turns a gun into a banana and puts it in the fridge. So that when Polpo goes to eat it, he shoots himself in the head.
That was brutal, because you didn't expect, like... All the other Joe stars don't... Whenever they killed someone who was not a vampire, it was...
Yeah, it wasn't... It wasn't just like a brutal, impassionate thing. It was just kind of like, I'm doing this because I have to do this.
Yeah, Giorno was basically like, this guy's a piece of shit. He killed that old man.
Yeah.
And he turns his gun into a banana, and then Polpo takes the banana and he peels it, puts it in his mouth, and basically realizes last second that it's a gun, pulls the trigger, and just blows his brains out over the wall.
I was excited as soon as I saw him pull... Like, at first I was like, he's just got a banana. I didn't know what was going on. He begins to pull the peel back, and you hear a click.
No, I knew Giorno was going to do something. I didn't know he was going to straight up kill him, though.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh.
He murders the shit out of that man, and he does it in a super cool way using his stand powers.
Where technically he doesn't kill him. He just tricks him into killing himself.
Yes, and it's very cold, but it's so cool and different. I like the turn it's going. I dig it.
Yeah, that was a very good episode. Again, it was all just the Black Sabbath fight. Same how 2 episodes ago we just had the Sticky Fingers fight.
Yeah, the Bruno fight. And I like that formula. I like spending... Because when you spend
the setup episode, then the battle episode.
Yeah, and when you spend an entire episode dedicated to each, you can really do well with both of those and take the time that you need to do both of those correctly. You're not constrained by time necessarily. But I'm looking forward to JoJo still because I like this season. It's very good.
In the next episode, we get to meet the boys.
Yeah.
We get to meat those bad boys.
We get to meet the bad boys.
The gang boys.
Gangu boys.
Gang stars.
Gangu stars.
But at the opposite end from gangsters, we have police officers.
We've got the cops now.
With Double Decker, Doug and Kirill.
Double Decker.
Double Decker.
This episode was
really good. This was like serious Doug. This
episode is it essentially introduced who our main villains are going to be. We
Bamboo
get to meet
Man,
them.
and their gang is called Esperanza.
Yeah, we've heard brief mentions of Esperanza before.
Basically, they're the big Anthem dealers.
Yes.
Or Anthem producers. One of them. They have a lot of ties to Anthem.
Yeah, which means that they have been, I should say, the big bads for Sector 0.
7-0. The episode starts with a death row inmate basically about to be sentenced to death, and he requests that he has new testimony, and he only wants to tell it to Doug.
Yes.
So Doug gets called in, and he's willing to reveal information about Esperanza if Doug is able to get him a pardon, or at least, not life in prison, not a
get me off a death row.
Yeah. And Doug, turns out, is real serious about this case.
Yeah.
Because we see Doug mostly as a casual...
He just kind of does it.
Whatever guy. And now we see him super focused when he hears, the names A and B. Oh, yeah, because everyone in the gang has a letter of the alphabet assigned to them.
Yeah, the leaders are all categorized by their letter of the alphabet. The death row inmate in particular, I can't remember his name in particular, but I remember
it's Z.
Yeah, he is Z. And I actually thought it was very interesting because they believe that A is the leader of the organization because A comes first in the alphabet.
Turns out Z killed A.
Z killed A.
For B.
For B.
Because B wanted to be in charge.
Yeah. And that's sort of the premise they go on. They go on some body hunts where they dig up the body, and then they take Z to this abandoned school to find the remaining parts of the body. And turns out it was all an ambush.
Yep, and...
it was a setup.
Yep. B shows up, and he's superhuman, but he's not on Anthem.
I dig the shit out of Bamboo Man. I think he's super cool.
And Kirill is... surprisingly, Kirill's actually a pretty brave guy.
Yeah.
Kirill sees that Doug's pretty much going crazy over this, and he just sort of tells him, no, we got a job we got to do. And he tells the other cops to just take Z and put him back in the police car, and Kirill's going to buy them time. And Kirill basically runs out and gets the shit kicked out of him. But that's fine, because Doug also gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Although Doug actually does land a punch on him, which...
He does.
It's weird. I think he can only do it when he's seeing, because Doug flashbanged him and was only able to punch him when he flashbanged him.
Yeah, he still relies on his sight like a normal person. It's just everything about him is superhuman besides that.
Like, he can dodge bullets.
Yeah, he goes... Okay.
Oh, he can pick up a car. He can just... throw dudes through walls.
This dude is fucking Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yeah.
Because he dodges bullets. He flicks rocks at people that, kill them.
Yeah, because he can flick rocks apparently at, bullet speed.
Yeah. He does a sweet three-point landing, which, of course, he does.
He was on fire at the beginning when he showed up and fine.
Yeah. Because... I feel it's also important to mention that they didn't show up with just 2 or 3 cop cars.
They
and
showed
a couple
up with
cops.
a whole
It was a convoy.
Yeah, it was a whole unit of police.
And Bamboo Man shows up and just fucks
everyone.
Everybody, and it's great. I think it's one of the strongest.
He looked stupid from the trailer when I saw him, so I thought he was gonna be. He was just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
He looked like he was that screamer type where it's like, oh, I love killing.
Yes, he
does.
You know what?
I thought he was neat.
Yeah, I think this is one of the strongest villain intros I've seen in a show for a long time because he just shows up and
it's weird because he fucks up Doug, and we're not used to seeing Doug get fucked up.
Yeah, because he's literally superhuman.
Yeah, Doug always has the answer, so... It's like, oh, even Doug can't beat this guy. Yeah. And their eye scanner thing doesn't work because he doesn't have Anthem in him.
He's not on Anthem, so they can't do the eye scanners. And he's just kind of... Yeah, I think he's kind of a scary villain.
Yeah.
Because he looks super crazy, but his personality itself is kind of...
So far where we're at, they don't have any way to deal with him.
Yeah. He's just unstoppable at the moment.
I look forward to where this is gonna go.
I think it's going in some very interesting directions.
Oh, and to go back to the beginning of the episode, what we forgot to mention, because it was just a minor thing, but it starts out with Kirill at Derek's bar hanging out, and Derek sits down and he just looks at Kirill and he's like, man, it's such a crazy story of how we met.
Oh, yeah.
And the narrator just mentions, we skipped how Doug and, or how Derek and Kirill met, because it's a really stupid story.
Yeah, the story's really stupid, so we're gonna skip that.
And I thought that was funny because, these two characters haven't met before this point, and I guess they're just gonna skip over now that they know each other.
I like that kind of storytelling because...
You don't need to know.
Yeah, it's kind of a transparent way to be like, we didn't really want to do this because we'd have to spend more time on it, so we're just going to skip it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And it's good enough where it just shows some dumb, intro thing, which you know Doug's character, or not Doug, I keep saying Doug. You know Kirill's character by now, and you just see him bump into him when he's carrying a bunch of groceries and, that seems like a Kirill thing to do. Yeah. That's how they would have met. I can fill in the blanks. I'm smart enough to do that.
Exactly. I love this show. I think it's great, and I'm very happy with it.
I find it funny that Derek's a recurring character now, just as a bartender.
Yeah.
And he's not even a good bartender. He heats up frozen food.
The Derek special is...
canned beans.
Frozen
French fries.
And... something else that's frozen.
Yeah, another canned thing.
Yeah, another canned frozen thing.
Because Kirill mentions everything's from, at the Derek special, everything's from the can. Hey, I made the French fries myself.
Yeah, and
I fried them.
He's holding a bag of frozen French fries. And then, I like how shitty Doug. I like how shitty Derek is.
And turns out at the end of the episode, Z escapes because when they bring him back onto the police car, he stabs the two other guards because it turns out his cane was a sword cane, and his bum leg was a lie, and he basically Kevin Spacey'd everyone at, the usual suspects.
Super hard. He was Kaiser Soze the whole time.
He was Kaiser Soze.
And it was a big setup all from the start using... the guard who was real shitty. Oh, I feel this is going to come up again, so I'm going to mention this. At one point, they bring Z chocolate tarts, and he offers the tarts to Doug and Kirill, and the shitty guard, who at the end we learn is actually working with them the whole time, knocks them out of his hands, and he gets real PTSD about that. And they end up torching that guard alive after he's like, your mistake was you wasted food. And then they just burn this dude alive. And I feel like that's going to be a running theme with this villain.
He doesn't like wasting food.
He's real against... If you see this man walking down the street with a cup of coffee, don't bump into him and spill it. Because he'll burn you.
He would get along well with Kyoko from Madoka.
Yes. Yes, he would. So, to move on to a list, to one I feel deserves a warning.
Thick boys.
Thick boys.
We're warning people. If you don't want to see boys that are too thick, you don't want to watch this one.
The thickest boys. Thick belt boys. Be warned. It's not holding up to the rest of them,
It's just this, it's not even bad, it's just so mediocre.
Yeah, and that's kind of disappointing, because
it's just so middle of the road that it's just eh.
I don't know if they've figured out what they want to do art style wise,
I think that
if they just ran out of... If their budget's not where they want it to be or something, but it's not...
It's not fun to watch.
Yeah, it's not interesting.
Anytime we get to I don't know if that's just because sumo is the way it is, where it's just...
I feel like you could do something with it, but you need some sort of... Well, first of all, I think you kind of need better written characters. I feel like everyone's writing is starting to fall apart a little bit.
To give a plot summary of this episode, the sumo club basically practices by sparring with one another.
Yes.
And the coach, everyone's asking him why he's not wrestling in the tournament because they think like, oh, he's probably a weakling or he thinks he's better. But he shows that he's a really good coach by having the weakest guy there beat everybody else.
Yes, he basically gives him like, do this and you will beat them, and he does.
And then at the end, the only way he can teach Hinomaru is by actually sumoing him.
Yes.
So he takes off the glasses, puts on a mawashi belt, and
turns out he is ripped too under his school uniform.
And he actually beats Hinomaru. But then everyone's like, oh yeah, we're going to have him in the tournament and we'll win. But then you find out his secret. His lungs are bad, so he can only sumo
for 20 seconds.
20 seconds. I want to know, how do you get ripped when you can only physically exert yourself for 20 seconds?
I was wondering that myself, because he is jacked as shit.
Yeah.
So how does he
You're going to need more than a 20-second workout every day.
He works out for 20 seconds, but he pumps super hard. And for like 15, he goes super hard. And then he winds down in the last 5. And then he just freaks out and does his hyperventilate thing. Because his lungs fill with liquid if he exerts himself for too much.
So he drowns if he does that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the fights were just... The most interesting one was obviously the real fight between Hinomaru and the coach.
Yeah.
But even then, it's just them grabbing each other and...
They're not... Because it's like, if you're going to do it in a very realistic style, which, to be honest, I think would probably be fairly boring.
Yeah, because, again, it's sumo. It's just...
anime anyway.
Yeah.
But they're doing some kind of middle-of-the-road thing where they're not, like, showing it in sort of a real-time way, but they're not going super anime with it either and doing something visually interesting.
I'd rather they go, like, full, just whole hog with it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was hoping from it. That's what I wanted.
They just kind of grab each other and then do close-ups on their faces as they're like, ugh!
Yeah, and then Thickest...
No way! And then, Thickest Boy has to commentate the whole time.
He fulfills the Robert E.O. Speedwagon role, but not as enjoyably.
Well, because the commentary's really bad in this, because we know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, because...
Like, he's lifting him by the leg!
All of the commentary can be shown with one static shot, so you don't need someone commentating it. You can just see it.
And it's not really a sport with that much nuance going on that you can't see it.
Yeah, there's not much subtle movement to it. It's just kind of, there are moves they do, and that is what they do.
And he basically teaches Hinomaru a new move where instead of his...
Oh, yes.
I think his original move was like a grab and then a slam.
Because Hinomaru...
instead, this time it's like a grab, a slam, and then a flip. Or a leg sweep.
He has a double combo where basically he combos together 2 of his signature moves. And then, actually, this is kind of funny. The coach dude is like, your strongest move is by comboing 2 moves together. You know how you could make that stronger?
Add a third.
Add a third move. And everyone's just kind of like, what? A third move? I thought that was kind of funny, but not in a good, funny way. Just like, that's not very good. That's not well written.
It's just kind of, it's a little boring.
Yeah, and that's disappointing. I had higher hopes for this one. So, you better shape up, Hinomaru Sumo.
Yeah.
Or you're going to detention.
Yeah. Me and Ian made it a rule: if we get rid of any show, it's only, you can't do more than 1 a week, and there is one that ho.
Yes.
Yeah. There's 2 more on this list, so if you've been keeping up with this, all 3 of you, If you've been keeping up with this, you know that it's probably going to be one of the next two, and you can easily assume which one.
Yeah, it should be fairly obvious which one of these is going to be.
Irajuku, The World in Color, that one, it's gotta go.
It's garbage. You know, they were doing magic, all of a sudden, now no one's got clothes on. It's like, stick with an artistic style.
No, this one, I enjoyed this week's episode.
Yeah, I like it.
Grandma's back.
Grandma's back. Stop calling me Grandma, even though she is.
Yeah. So the grandma comes back, and, you know, she's pretty cool with seeing her granddaughter.
She's super... she is like, oh, well, I guess this means I'm just a very powerful mage in the future. And it's like, hold on.
Yeah. Like, the only natural reaction moment that would be, like, a realistic, like, huh. I guess when she hugged her at first, because, you know, like, hey, that's your granddaughter.
Yeah.
Even though you don't know her. But then at the same time, also the one where she asked, like, who do I marry in the future? And she's like, oh, you want to know about Grandpa? And then she's like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, I did think that was pretty funny. It's also a very good way of not writing in another character.
I guess that's, like, that would make sense then that none of the characters in this group are her grandfather, because then she would be like, hey, that's Grandpa.
Oh, hey, Grandpa. Yeah, that's a good observation.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, she immediately starts raising shit, too, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, and magic's weird in this show. I guess magic's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Well, it's real because it's been done, but I guess
but
common knowledge that it's real.
You can just kind of like do it. Like you can just go to I'll just go learn magic, and that's just a thing.
And at the end of the episode, basically this whole episode, they go and they get permission from the school to go and take pictures of the night skyline on the school roof.
Yes. And
Kohaku, Grandma, decides to tag along. She's not in their club, but, you know, since her granddaughter, who, you know, she sent back in time, is in the club, and she only just got back, she's like, I should spend some time with her, so I'll participate in you guys' club activities too.
I think she kind of realizes, like, they do talk about it. They talk about how she can't see colors, and how she just kind of got sent back. So I think Kohaku kind of realizes, I sent her back here for a reason.
Yeah.
So I should stick with her and see if we can fix this.
Mm-hmm. And they all go to the school, and this is like a cultural thing that's got to be where schools for some reason like, oh, it's school so scary, the scary like ghosts or mysteries of school.
Ghost school.
I never understood that.
I don't know.
Like, a school would be the least scary place I could think of for any setting. But I guess that's got to be from being an American.
Yeah, I've been at some schools at night, and it's just like...
It's a school.
It's dark, but it's still just a school.
Yeah. Because you know what else can be dark?
Hey, quiet on the set, Kenny.
It's my fucking dog.
Kenny needs to be quiet on the set.
No, they're you know what else is scary at night? An abandoned hospital.
Yeah.
Or a mental institution. Or a prison. Those are a little scarier than a school.
I guess they all kind of go along the same lines of places that people are locked in against their will. Even though this is a Japanese school, so it's kind of a little more loose than that.
Yeah.
But they go to the school. Glasses girl
gets scared. And she gets too scared to go on the roof, so she decides to wait downstairs, where the roof would be the most well-lit place.
Yeah, she decides she's going to wait in the creepy school by herself.
And then they mention, hey, wouldn't that be scarier to stay down here by yourself? And she's like, yeah, it would. And then they make the dude who they make her, the character she's paired with, stay with her. Yeah. That's all he is. He's just there to be paired with her.
Yeah, they make those, because I think they were like, we got too many characters in this scene. We don't want to write all of this, and it'd be real busy.
Yeah. You guys can go be the B plot.
Yeah, you guys.
It's not even a B plot. You guys can we need to get rid of you for a moment.
Go away. We need a plot reason for you to go away.
You two matter the least.
So they do.
And while they're up there, they realize it's confusing calling them both by their last name.
Yes.
Because they're,
related.
Yeah. So they realize the easiest way would be to just call them by first names. And Artsy Boy, Painting Boy, does not call Hitomi by her first name. Instead, he calls the grandma Kohaku, but her still by her last name, which I forget what it is.
Tsukushima, maybe? Something along those lines?
I don't think it's Tsukushima.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I watched this episode today.
I know, I watched it today,
remember.
Too. I watched it today when I got home from work, so I've only watched it, within the past 3 hours.
I didn't watch it that recently, but I did watch it today.
But yeah, so he doesn't call her by her first name, which is, in their culture, that shows closeness to someone when you call them by their first name. So him not doing that for her almost seems kind of like he doesn't like her or something.
Well,
which the grandma even brings up to him later, like, hey, she's a sensitive girl. She might get the wrong idea about that.
Yeah. It's, both him and class president get kind of hot and flustered about it, because they're like, it's embarrassing, but whatever.
Because you can tell that I think the club president guy likes Hitomi.
Yeah, I can still see that love triangle that I foresaw in the last episode.
Which is why I'm like, oh man, he only called the grandma by her first name. Does that mean, I think his name's Ai.
Yes.
I think Ai then likes Kohaku.
Yeah.
Which means we got a square going on.
We got the squares.
Actually, wait. Well, for it to be a complete square, Kohaku would have to like the class president guy, or the club president guy.
Well, if we add second girl, we have kind of like almost like a weird, not closed pentagon.
And then we got the other two, which are their own separate couple.
They're just a line kind of off in the distance.
Yeah. They make a solid line, though. It just connects evenly.
Yeah. It's not a ray. It's not a vector. It's a line. It is a line segment.
Yep. And at the end of the episode, they hear her call Kohaku grandma.
Yes.
And they're all like, huh, wait, why'd you call her grandma? And then they just go, oh, you want to tell them?
Yeah.
I'm from 60 years in the future.
And everyone's just kind of like, whoa.
Well, they're not apathetic about it, but it's only they were shown a cool video of someone doing
cool.
A skateboard trick where, yeah, that's cool, but it's not blowing my mind or anything.
Yeah, I think second girl is like, wow, magic's real powerful, ain't it? And it's like, hold on, you just found out that your transfer student is from 60 years in the future.
Yeah, she transferred from the future.
And she goes to school with her grandmother, and that's your reaction? Just, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
It was a little odd, not gonna lie.
But you know what? I still liked it. I feel like both this show and Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, both of the romance shows we're watching, or the drama ones.
Yeah.
They both got some stupid shit in them.
Yeah.
Just some really stupid stuff.
But they're enjoyable to watch.
I enjoy them. I don't watch this media for quality. I watch it for
personal enjoyment.
Yeah. I'm not looking for high art here.
I do like a lot of the visuals in this show.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I know that there's a lot of times in the show where characters will be speaking, and instead of just holding on those characters speaking, they will cut to some sort of very beautifully drawn image, static image of something to give you something to look at while these people ramble
rather than
on.
just they talk about stuff.
Yeah, and I like that. And I like how it cuts to black and white sometimes from Hitomi's perspective. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, because then we get to see how she sees it.
Yes.
I really liked the... I was gonna say, I like that scene where he's with his mom and she's asking him, like, oh, I saw you're trying to look for a new job.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you wanted to be an artist. Not really. Guy who only paints.
Yeah. Man who spends basically all of his time in art club painting or drawing.
Yeah, just doing art.
Yeah, but nah, that's fine. I want to say there was something else.
I think that was really it. That was it for this episode.
Yeah. I like the show.
Next to the weakest entry on this list, coming in at number 10, and
with good reason.
With good reason. These weren't originally rated on like quality or anything. They were just put in this order as this was just the order they ended up in. But certainly, if they had to be ranked from number 1 to number 10, number 10.
Number 10.
Ulysses, Joan of Arc, and the Alchemist Knight. Yeah.
I mean, I think that sums up my just morose sigh sums up how I feel about this show.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
We talked last week about how
we saw it slipping in a direction we didn't like.
Yeah, and then it was just.
And then it
said,
did.
It said,
"Fuck
it."
It's settled there. It's like this is where I'm comfortable.
It nestled comfortably in that area, in a very provocative pose, but not like a good one. In one that just makes everyone around it uncomfortable.
It's not so bad that you want to look at it. You just want to look away.
Yeah, I can honestly say this is probably. I've seen.
I don't even want to say the content or subject matter was bad. The pacing of this episode was so poor.
Oh god,
the pacing was gross. It was uncomfortably paced.
Like, how do you...
I even tried to go, okay, yeah, it's lewd. It's a very lewd show, but what else around that? No, it is bad. Like, the pacing was awful.
It
moved way too quick on some parts.
Yeah, you could at least try to falsely say, like, see, well, we've got this scene where it's actual dialogue between these two characters. No, it rushes through all that shit.
It's like, oh, hey, Joan, we're going to go to this place and talk to the queen. Okay, we go to the place. Montmorency, boom, he gets kidnapped, put in the thing. Then after she goes through, talks to the queen. And then it's trying to cut back and forth between Montmorency and the other girl's conversation. And it just feels real jarring where it feels like that conversation's happening rather slowly, but Joan of Arc is going through all this shit and so much stuff.
Yes.
That it's happening way too fast.
Joan sprints through her day at a marathon runner's pace, whereas Montmorency just kind of has like a very slow, relaxed conversation with his friend. He meets his friend who's super pissed at him.
Yeah.
Because I noticed a running theme. People being pissed at Montmorency for being gone for 7 years.
Also, he was the weakest person, too, and they're like, why didn't Montmorency save me? And I'm like, he needed you guys to save him.
He did probably objectively nothing in
their childhood. He was just positive. That's about it.
He's a cool guy.
I realized, too, I don't like anyone in this show besides him, and I don't even like him that much. He's just like, hey, he's an entertaining guy. He's a decent bad alchemist.
Yeah. I like the fact that he sucks at it, and the only reason he's useful is because of an accident. But everything else is just like...
I didn't like this episode. I didn't like really the previous one, and I just don't like the show so far.
Yeah.
The first episode was fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first episode. I was like, I can get behind this.
And everything after has been terrible.
It is geared...
I don't like Joan.
I hate Joan.
And she's one of the major characters. She's annoyingly edgy as her Ulysses version, and then in her Joan of Arc version, she's just uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Mama, and then that scene where basically all her emotions run super high, which means when she needs the juice, she needs the juice.
She needs the juice.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what the juice is, but
it's his spit.
It is no illusion as to what they want you to think the juice is.
Yeah.
It is not even innuendo.
It is yeah.
It's just
it's you don't want to watch it in a place where someone's going to walk over your shoulder and be like, "Hey, what's up? What you doing?"
Oh, what are you watching? Anything good? No.
Yeah. Well, that wouldn't be a lie though.
Yeah. You'd be telling the truth. Yeah. Just
it's shit. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's bad. It makes me uncomfortable. It's not written or paced very good.
Yeah, I don't. That was the thing too. Yeah, the problems with just the way it is structured are enough for me to just be mad at it alone.
Yeah, it is lazy.
I can get by it being like an ecchi show.
Yeah,
I could get by not caring, but I don't like the characters and I don't like the anything.
Yeah,
the show structure, the pacing, the characters, even every character. I don't like the fairy.
Yeah,
I don't like any of his former friends. I don't like I guess I don't really actually have a strong opinion on the gun chick. She's fine, I guess, but she's big titty mercenary. Yeah, and that's it. That's it.
I hate. I can't even remember his name. Edgy bodyguard man who steals the letter and then throws.
Yeah, the bad guy. Oh, and then he throws like my half brother or step brother. Yeah,
they're half brothers. Every scene that guy was in just made my skin crawl.
Oh, and then things move super quick, like, again, because the pacing, where it's like, oh, that's the body double, and no one actually guesses it's the real queen. Like, that's the real queen. They move through that scene so fucking fast.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a big-ass actual historical event. That is a thing that happened. And fuck it, whatever. There's not a big focus on boobs or lewdness, so we'll just kind of, it happened.
Yeah, move it along.
Keep it going. Now they're in the bedroom.
I don't like it, and this is one of the things where it's like, I don't really feel like giving it more episodes is going to change anything, because it knows what it is, and this is what it is.
Yeah, it's just going to be more of this. I would be genuinely surprised if it changed at all. And you know what? The show plays fast and loose with its own rules, because Joan is like, they establish that Joan needs a top-up on elixir every time she transforms into the Ulysses, unless something in the plot happens that demands she turns into the Ulysses and Montmorency is not around.
Yeah, because she got hit with the thing, but apparently maybe it's just like the Hulk where like damage instantly kicks into that like Ulysses form.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't really matter, probably.
It's not good, and I don't like it.
I think, can we make this the first kill?
Let's throw Ulysses in detention.
Yeah. Ulysses is going to stay after class. No, because then we'd have to deal with it longer.
Yeah.
It's getting expelled.
Yeah, we're expelling Ulysses.
It's getting kicked out of school.
For poor conduct.
Think about this. It took the spot of, I feel like we should have just taken Honda-san. Because, that's a good show.
Yeah, I enjoy Honda-san.
It's a short one, but it's okay.
And it's short. It's like 11 minutes long.
Yeah. But you know what? This is out.
Goodbye, Ulysses. You have been expelled.
We are down to 9.
Now I can just get that shit out of my queue.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
I get to save myself 20 minutes a week now.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to do that.
But in general, everything else is
everything else is fine. Even the weaker stuff. Like, I don't hate Hinamaru Sumo. It's just kind of mediocre.
It's not living up to the rest of the shows, So it can go if it doesn't shape up.
I've been enjoying Miss Vampire Lives in My Neighborhood, but Ellie better not fuck it up.
Yeah, I really hope she doesn't.
This was my relax show.
Yeah, it's my little guilty pleasure show. I can watch it and just be like, oh, those girls and their antics. So adorable.
She's not a doll. She's a vampire. You can't do that.
You can't. You know, you're offering to do the makeup for the vampire. Actually, that was one thing I did enjoy of the episode.
Yeah, where she can't see herself in the mirror, but she likes makeup.
Yeah, Ellie goes to do her own makeup, and she comes back, and it's all fucked up because she can't see her reflection. I thought that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But everything else was just kind of weak.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key reasons why Ulysses is just getting cut. There wasn't a single thing enjoyable in that episode.
No.
There wasn't a single moment where I said, that's a good scene.
I honestly think I was on my phone for most of it, probably. Because I just...
Yeah, I was actually paying attention, really, I was paying a lot of attention, but not for, the right reasons. I was like, I don't like any of this, so I'm really focusing in on all the stuff I don't like.
Yeah,
that's why I paid so much attention to the pacing of that one.
I just kind of tuned it out, which is probably why I didn't really notice at first, because I wasn't really watching the episode. I was just... back to Montmorency. That's cool. Hey, is Jones being attacked by a large man? Okay.
Yeah. Everything else, though, fine. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, though, has been weak for me lately.
Yeah, it hasn't been really going anywhere, and it's 4 episodes in, which is taking kind of a long time.
Yeah.
I hope it shapes up.
I'd say best episodes this week have been Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai for actually having an episode that I was like, hey, I actually enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah.
But best overall, I'd say, is a toss-up between JoJo and Double Decker.
Yes.
Double Decker was real strong this week.
High marks to both of those. Just a lot of good action, introducing a lot of good, interesting characters in Double Decker. It's high marks to both of them.
Yeah.
So, I don't have anything left to say.
Yeah, I think that's good for this week. And, yep, we eased our load a bit with only 9. And hopefully things get better for Hitomaru Sumo, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime, and we should be good. Yeah. We shouldn't have to do any more cuts.
Yes. Hopefully we don't have to, but we should be ready should we need to. But
we're going to give those the same thing we mentioned to Bunny Girl Senpai. You guys got to start stepping it up.
You guys got to step it up. Got to go home, got to study.
Yeah, you guys got to stay after class. You got to hit the library. Got to go home, got to study.
Hit those books, kids.
You want to sit in that protagonist seat, you got to study.
You got to study for the seat.
Everyone knows the protagonist gets modest, mediocre grade. He passes. He doesn't fail.
Yes. Protagonists rarely fail.
They might not be the best in class, but they don't fail.
But... thank you, all 2 or 3 of you, all several of you, for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel to get more videos and updates and stuff.
Or check out our Twitter, which will be down in the description below.
And have a nice day.
See ya.